Kurdish Victims Fund Court Report 12, the massive corruption case against Masoud Barzani, Masroor Barzani, Waisi Barzani, and Barzani family members and their conspirators in Washington, D.C. is already having a serious impact, and the trial has not even begun. It is reported to the Kurdish Victims Fund that many U.S. government agencies are now closely monitoring the case as evidence presented in the Washington, D.C. court case is spreading in Washington, D.C. and in the capitals of other nations. And the Kurdish Victims Fund is keeping the White House and key members of the United States Congress informed. This legal case points out for the court and for the United States Congress that the regime of Masoud Barzani and Masroor Barzani has created a culture of pervasive untruth. Washington insider sources are telling the Kurdish Victims Fund that because of its 2-year investigation and the astonishing court case which resulted, this case is already impacting United States financial assistance to the Kurd. One such impact is reported to be the United States military advised the Kurd a few days ago that USILD coalition forces have abruptly ceased monthly salary payments to the unified Peshmerga brigades and will not make further salary payments. In just one example of many crimes against the United States government revealed in its well-documented court case, the Kurdish Victims Fund has revealed to the United States court how the Barzani continuing criminal enterprise has repeatedly overcharged the United States millions of dollars by billing for ghost personnel, presented false invoices for jet fuel supplied to the U.S. military in Iraq, and created false records of the disposition of U.S. property. The Barzani criminal enterprise has been thieving vast amounts of money from the United States government for years by embezzling, stealing, and obtaining money by fraud and illegal conversion. The Barzani criminal enterprise has converted for its use property and money that was owned by the United States government, that is, foreign aid and military assistance funds. The Barzanis receive ghost money by inflating the number of fighting Kurd Peshmerga soldiers supported by the United States and diverting arms and other military equipment supplied by the United States and received by Barzanis to ISIS and Iran's IRG, both of which are U.S.-designated terrorist organizations and combatant enemies of the United States, and all in severe violation of U.S. law. Ghost employees are not real soldiers, but exist only on paper or do not show up for work or do not perform the work for which the United States was charged and for which the Barzani criminal enterprise used fraudulent and falsified records to criminally invoice the United States of America. Those involved in the scheme have diverted and are diverting millions of dollars of U.S. financial assistance to criminal purposes of the Barzani criminal enterprise. Confidential human sources who have direct clandestine access to senior-ranking officials of the Kurd have identified Peshmerga commanders under the command and control of Masroor Barzani and Waisi Barzani who are amassing enormous fraudulently obtained personal wealth. As pointed out by the Kurdish Victims Fund lawyers to the United States Federal Court, the Criminal Court of Erbil is not independent of the Kurd government. And contrary to untruthful Kurd public statements and a dishonest report the Kurd submitted to United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, the Kurdistan regional government does interfere with legal processes. The Kurdish Victims Fund lawyers are in the possession of U.S. State Department documents which confirm this. But the Kurd and its Barzani leaders and attorneys cannot interfere or obstruct in the U.S. federal court, no matter how hard they may try behind closed doors. The co-conspirators of the Barzani criminal enterprise can run, but they can no longer hide. After years of hiding behind an extremely deceptive fraud, the truths exposed in this law case for the first time are glaringly obvious and devastating to the Barzani regime, and potentially terminal to their corrupt government. What is exposed in this United States legal case brings international daylight to one of the largest corruption scandals in the world. It is all documented by leaked Barzani detailed business files, bank records, account numbers, including from their Dubai private money man Sarwar Paydawi, and insider confidential sources. Much of the Barzani continuing criminal enterprise is funded by money pilfered from the people of Kurdistan and its government, and from proceeds of crime where the people of Kurdistan and the United States are the victims. The United States District Court and Congress will now hold the Barzani criminal enterprise accountable for this massive theft from the American and Kurdish taxpayers. Lawyers for some Barzani co-conspirators essentially to the court that their clients had engaged in unlawful conduct, but now those lawyers are also named in the legal case for international money laundering and many other serious violations of United States law. And the Barzani regime has engaged in a years-long campaign of disinformation and smearing of their opposition to cover their many crimes. That is now uncovered and will soon be even more wide open in this United States federal court case. This enormity of crimes matters in the United States and to the United States government. It matters to the thousands of Kurdish victims who are bringing this law case. As this case has progressed, President Biden has declared such corruption, including the misappropriation of state assets for personal gain and human rights violations, a core national security interest of the United States, and ordered United States government agencies to bring such perpetrators to account before the law. The countless crimes of the murderous and corrupt Barzani criminal enterprise are now being fully exposed in United States federal court. In coming reports, we will continue to spell out in public detail each of the multitude of crimes they have committed.